Cloudless skies stretched endlessly above as I pulled onto the cracked asphalt road, lined with wilted sycamores clinging to summer's final breaths. Dust spiraled behind my truck, catching sunlight in fractured flares. Ahead, the base emerged, razor, wire fencing, watchtowers, and cold steel gates like clenched jaws. A decade had passed. Not once had I planned to return. Yet today something pulled me, perhaps longing, perhaps unfinished stories haunting quiet hours between midnight and sunrise. I slowed near the checkpoint. A guard stepped forward, young, rigid, unreadable. His mirrored shades hid everything. "Identification," he barked, voice sharp as flint. Sliding a battered wallet from my jeans, I handed over laminated proof of service. Bronze eagle insignia gleamed beneath fingerprints. The private inspected it, then glanced toward the booth where another uniformed stranger observed. "Wait here." Confused, I nodded. Engines growled nearby, convoys moving out. Dusty Humvees rolled past like ghosts of old battles. 15 minutes slipped by. Sweat pooled under my collar. Each tick of the dashboard clock punched deeper into old wounds. Finally, the guard returned, flanked by someone older, taller, eyes colder. "Sir," the second one said, voice smoother yet somehow crueler. "You're not permitted entry. Orders from command." My heartbeat slowed. Words tangled in my throat. "There must be a mistake," I whispered. "I'm Sergeant Major Clay Vaughn, retired, honorably, decorated. This was my—" "Doesn't matter," he interrupted. "Turn around." Lightning cracked inside my skull. Disbelief swelled into anger. I bled on that dirt, buried friends in that soil. Expression unchanged, he repeated, "Step away, sir." Refusing to escalate, I placed the truck into gear. Rubber screeched across faded pavement as I reversed, heart hammering like gunfire. Driving away, distant hills blurred. I gripped the wheel harder, remembering faces lost. Daniels with his crooked grin, Mendez clutching his gut, whispering for his daughter, Taylor holding the line with broken limbs. All gone. Still, no welcome, no salute, only silence. As the gate vanished behind me, emotions erupted, rage, sorrow, confusion. Each mile widened the chasm between me and everything I once believed sacred. Eventually, I reached my street. Mailbox rusted, porch light busted, siding peeling from last winter's storm. I killed the engine. Stepping onto cracked concrete, I inhaled the familiar scent of old pine and scorched grass. Faint wind chimes from Mrs. Galen's porch murmured in dissonance. Home. I tossed my cap onto the hook by the door. Living room dim, draped in shadow. Sunlight filtered through dusty blinds, casting golden scars across the floor. I sank into my recliner, boots thudding against hardwood. Across from me, a shelf sagged under the weight of military plaques, trophies, folded flags, medals never worn. I stared at them, mind spiraling. Why block me? What changed? My stomach churned. I rose, pacing. Each footstep echoed like memories I couldn't suppress. I ran fingers across framed photographs, me beside a smiling Colonel Banks, grinning after Kandahar, blood still drying on fatigues. Did he know? I approached the old footlocker beneath the window. Popping the latch, I pulled out a worn notebook. Dog-eared pages filled with letters never sent, apologies unsaid, names scribbled between missions, soldiers I couldn't save. Outside, the sun dipped low. Crimson light spilled across the yard, setting the horizon ablaze. I stood there for a while watching, then came the knock. 3 short raps, firm, unhesitating. I froze. Nobody visited. Neighbors kept their distance. Another knock. I walked to the door slowly, every nerve alert. Peering through the peephole, I saw them. 3 men, each clad in polished blues, brass glinting. One wore stars on his shoulder. High-ranking. Important. Serious, I opened the door. They didn't speak immediately. "Sergeant Major Vaughn?" the middle one asked, voice low, deliberate. I nodded. We need to come inside. Now. My grip tightened on the doorframe. What's this about? The general's eyes met mine, hard, regretful. It's classified. You'll want to sit down. Hesitated, then stepped aside. They entered wordlessly, boots clicking against the floor. Inside, the house seemed to shrink. Air thickened. Tension crackled. I gestured toward the couch. They didn't sit. Instead, they turned toward me, solemn. "Clay," the general began, voice softer now. "Today wasn't a mistake." My jaw clenched. "You were watching," he nodded. The youngest officer looked away, uncomfortable. The eldest continued, "You were denied intentionally." The room spun slightly. Why? The answer didn't come. Immediately. Instead, he opened his briefcase, revealing a folder stamped in red. Top secret. He handed it to me. "Read." My hand shook as I opened it. Pages inside detailed surveillance logs, transcripts, hidden operations. At the bottom, my name, bold underlined, target of interest. Fluorescent overhead fixtures flickered, washing the room in sterile glows. Faint humming accompanied every breath, almost musical, almost mechanical. I sat motionless, fingers gripping the folder's spine, knuckles pale beneath weathered skin. My name, bolded repeatedly across stark documents, glared up like accusations. Buried incidents, unauthorized deployments, unsanctioned interactions. Paragraphs painted an image of someone unrecognizable, calculated, methodical, volatile. General Halbrook, tall, gaunt, commanding, remained nearby, arms behind his back. Lieutenant Kessler leaned against my bookshelf, inadvertently nudging. Framed snapshots of my niece's graduation, Dad's final fishing trip, my wedding day. Captain Holloway stood closest, jaw clenched, eyes refusing contact. I closed the file, heartbeat irregular, mouth arid. "Some elaborate mistake," I muttered, unable to control the bitterness surging forward. "It's not erroneous," Halbrook admitted, tone calm yet sharp. "But it's not what it appears either." My spine straightened. "Go on." He moved toward the fireplace, pausing beside the display case containing my ceremonial saber. 6 years prior, an internal threat emerged, he said. Cyber espionage, deep state sabotage, high-level leaks. Holloway stepped forward, voice steady now. "We traced digital trails back to multiple operatives. Some turned willingly, others vanished." Kessler finally chimed in, voice softer, uncertain. "Your name surfaced once, then again. Patterns matching deployment routes, encrypted transmissions, mimicking your signature." I stood abruptly, chair scraping loudly. "You're telling me someone impersonated my credentials?" Halbrook nodded. "Precisely, but proving innocence within bureaucratic layers required time. Layers don't forgive easily." Silence fell between us. Outside, crows cried beyond naked branches, wind pushing dried leaves across the driveway. Autumn had settled in like a mourner. I rubbed temples, memories crashing. Security clearances revoked without reason, fellow veterans going quiet, pension delays blamed on administrative backlog. Every unexplained slight, every passive dismissal clicked into place. "You couldn't inform me earlier?" I asked, voice cracking like dry timber. "We weren't authorized," Halbrook said. "Until this morning." A hollow laugh escaped. "So you orchestrated the gate incident? Watched humiliation unfold?" "No." Kessler's face paled. "We didn't expect it to feel that personal. Protocol mandated authentic reactions. You wanted realism. It was necessary." Tension coiled tighter. I turned toward the window, stared into the creeping twilight. A storm brewed behind purple clouds, ominous, unwelcome. What now? Halbrook inhaled deeply. "Those responsible remain at large. We need you to help find them." Shock rendered me speechless momentarily. "Why me?" I whispered. "You're the only one they couldn't predict," Holloway said. "You vanished, disengaged, became untraceable. That makes you invaluable." I studied their faces, mixtures of regret, desperation, faint admiration, not trust, something different, something colder. I moved to the mantel, ran fingertips across etched brass plates commemorating past achievements, ceremonies with handshakes, grins hiding pain, speeches rehearsed behind glass eyes. "Suppose I decline?" I asked, voice quieter than before. "We walk out," Halbrook replied, "and they continue hiding." I sat again. Thoughts raced, choices narrowed. "I want unrestricted access," I said finally. "Every file, every operative's log, total transparency." Halbrook nodded, and my name, publicly cleared. Kessler exchanged glances with Holloway. Halbrook remained silent for several moments. "Done." I rose. "Then let's begin." They stood in unison. "Tomorrow, 0500, Halbrook said, extending a hand. I shook it. Firm grip, steel behind the gesture. As they departed, headlights illuminated the peeling white paint of my porch railing. Tires crunched over gravel, taillights fading into darkness. Alone again, I leaned against the doorway. Moonlight poured silver over the yard. Crickets sang beneath rose bushes I'd forgotten to trim. Wind carried faint scents of burnt cedar, rain-soaked pavement, wild clover. Inside, the house exhaled. Quiet returned, familiar, almost comforting. I climbed the stairs slowly, muscles aching, mind refusing rest. Each step echoed like gunshots inside empty corridors. My bedroom remained untouched, simple, unadorned, sacred. I collapsed onto the mattress, stared at the ceiling fan creaking gently overhead. Somewhere beneath folded blankets, I found an old cassette player. Pressing play, I allowed a recording to fill the silence, my daughter's piano recital, years old. Each note, flawed yet beautiful, reminded me why I kept fighting. Sleep came reluctantly. Dreams twisted, faces without names, voices whispering. From darkness, boots stomping across foreign terrain. Morning arrived without permission. Cold sunlight spilled through uncurtained windows. I rose, dressed, and stood before the mirror. Gray threaded through once black hair, jawline hardened by years of grit. I didn't look like a hero, or a threat. Just a man caught between pages, history tried to erase. Downstairs, I packed essentials, notebooks, secure drives, old contacts numbers scratched on the backs of expired ration cards. I retrieved my ID, useless now, yet I couldn't discard it. Not yet. Before leaving, I paused beside a framed letter, handwritten, frayed, signed by Colonel Abrams after Najaf. His words echoed louder now. Legacy isn't medals, it's how long your absence echoes. I shut the door behind me. The day had begun. The war hadn't ended, only changed its uniform. Pre-dawn hues stretched thin across the horizon as I approached the hangar. Towering floodlights buzzed overhead, casting long shadows over gravel and steel. Structures loomed like ancient sentinels, watching, waiting. My breath formed brief clouds, dissolving instantly. An unmarked SUV idled outside a corrugated loading bay. Inside, General Halbrook sat expressionless beside Captain Holloway, both reviewing coded manifests. Their silence wasn't awkward, it was tactical. I slid into the back seat. Neither spoke until the vehicle pulled away. Beyond the glass, military silhouettes blurred, armored transports, camouflaged technicians, canine units sniffing pallets of sealed crates. The base appeared awake, but not alive, mechanized, scripted, controlled. Eventually, Halbrook turned slightly. "You've read everything?" Twice. Holloway passed back a thumb drive. Encrypted correspondence from internal dissidents, names, routines, allegiances. I pocketed the device without comment. Outside, razor wire fences gave way to empty roads, lined with frost-bitten pines and sagging telephone poles. Somewhere nearby, an owl called once, low, drawn, foreboding. We arrived at a remote operations hub. No insignia, no flags, just gray, walls behind iron doors. Inside, biometric scans greeted us. Retinal confirmation, pressure plates, chemical signature samplers. Paranoia had become architecture. Inside the control center, fluorescent halos buzzed overhead. Tactical maps covered every surface. Surveillance feeds cycled across dozens of monitors. Forests, harbors, diplomatic summits, prison yards. Nowhere safe. Nowhere untouched. There, seated beside an aging bank of processors, was the reason I'd been summoned. Director Camden, Halbrook said, gesturing. The woman stood slowly, stoic, stern, perhaps 60. Her eyes held galaxies of grief and precision. "You're the one who vanished," she said, shaking my hand. "You're the one who found me," I replied. Her nod was barely perceptible. "Good. We need ghosts." She motioned toward the wall behind her. A digital screen brightened, revealing a timeline of intercepted transmissions originating from Allied headquarters and redirected into enemy terminals. Blueprints, launch codes, personnel rosters, all leaked without trace, until now. "This pattern," she continued, "mirrors field strategies from Operation Halberd. One operative survived with that knowledge. I knew what came next." "You think it's Bishop?" Camden didn't blink. "He never returned, declared KIA. Body unrecovered." "Because he wasn't dead," Halbrook interjected. "And now he's selling secrets." Old memories surfaced. Bishop, an elite strategist, brilliant, volatile. We'd once fought shoulder to shoulder through 5 campaigns. Then one night he vanished amid a barrage in Mosul. No dog tags, no blood, just absence. "He trusted you," Camden added. "He might again." I exhaled slowly, feeling the weight press into my lungs. "Where do we start?" Camden tapped a folder, contents spread across her table. Satellite images, time-stamped reports, financial transactions under dead aliases. Every clue pointed toward a location burned into my mind. Blackwater Ridge. "Remote," I muttered. "Isolated. No flight paths. Minimal surveillance." Holloway nodded. "Exactly. Perfect hideout." Camden handed over a slim dossier. "He's expecting company. He's not expecting you." I studied the topmost photo. Bishop in recent form. Grizzled. Leaner. Eyes colder. Something in his gaze hinted at madness, not miscalculation. "We extract?" I asked. "Negative," Camden replied. "We persuade." Halbrook finally looked directly at me. "We're not after retribution. We want exposure." He holds keys to the entire network. Without his cooperation, chaos reigns. I closed the folder. When? Tonight. By sundown, I was in flight. Not military transport. Civilian charter, low profile. Covert airstrip nestled between abandoned mining shafts. Holloway sat opposite, triple-checking gear while adjusting disguised receivers sewn into the lining of my jacket. "I've got your 6, he said simply. I gave a nod. No room for gratitude now. Below, the ground crawled by. Snow-covered peaks, unmarked trails, deep ravines unreachable by land vehicles. Our descent was silent, surgical. At 0200, the wheels touched down beside an icy stream bed flanked by rusted pylons. I exited alone. Fog wrapped around everything, trees, ridges, frozen grass. A coyote watched from the tree line, unbothered. I trudged forward, compass guiding. Each step, memory providing the rest. Bishop's cabin emerged behind a cluster of charred trunks. A single lantern flickered behind thick curtains. Smoke curled from a bent stovepipe. I knocked once, then again. On the third hit, a voice growled from within. "Walk away, Clay." He knew. I stayed. Locks clicked, hinges groaned. The door creaked open, revealing a gaunt figure cloaked in worn flannel, gray beard wild, pistol tucked beneath one arm. "You look terrible," I said. "You look domesticated," he countered. Neither smiled. "Let me in." He hesitated, then turned without a word. Inside, the air smelled of tobacco, kerosene, rain-soaked ash. Bookshelves sagged with decrypted intelligence manuals. Radios cluttered every surface, each tuned to silence. "You've been busy," I said. Bishop poured 2 drinks. "Retirement gets boring." I accepted the glass but didn't sip. "You've got visitors." "I've got watchdogs," he corrected. "They want answers. And if I say no, they'll burn everything you've touched." He studied me, eyes scanning for weakness, loyalty, guilt. He found something, perhaps all 3. "I don't care anymore," he said flatly. I set the glass down. "Then why unlock that door?" He didn't answer. We sat in silence, winter winds howling beyond thin walls, storm drawing closer. Bishop leaned forward, voice low. "I didn't betray the country. I betrayed those who sold it first." Wind slammed branches against fogged windows as Bishop's words settled between us like old dust. The crackle from a nearby space heater punctuated his confession, but my focus never left his expression, haunted yet defiant, as if daring me to call him a traitor. "I wasn't paid," he said, sipping rye from a chipped tin cup. I was cornered. I stayed quiet. He stood, approached an iron stove, fed kindling from a faded duffel. Flames licked upward, casting orange against peeling wallpaper. "You recall Baghdad?" he asked suddenly, voice rasping. I nodded once. "That convoy detour wasn't random," he muttered. "We were set up, dossiers exchanged, units sacrificed for leverage." Shock tightened my jaw. "By command?" "By suits wearing command-like camouflage," he growled. He tossed a crumpled envelope toward me, sealed with wax, marked, "For Clay, when it's over." Inside, a flash drive, a hand-scrawled message, and a photograph of unfamiliar operatives exchanging encrypted files beneath embassy scaffolding. Every file, every intercepted broadcast, every misplaced ally, they all trace back here, Bishop continued, tapping his chest. Because I stored everything they erased. I scanned the drive's contents, data implicating high-ranking officials, corporations laundering intelligence, forged deployments, blackmail schemes. My stomach churned. "You kept this," I whispered. "Why?" "Because you'd come." By dawn, we were packing. Maps, coordinates, radio codes, contingency plans scribbled on military ration wrappers. Bishop moved methodically, years of hiding honed into instinct. I uploaded the drive's contents into an air-gapped tablet, running decryption protocols from a hidden OS he'd written during exile. "You ready?" I asked. He gave a nod. Not eager, resigned. We slipped through narrow trails, frost crunching beneath boots. Hawks circled above distant cliffs, tracking movement. At a ridge overlooking an abandoned airstrip, I triggered the beacon embedded in my watchband. Within seconds, twin rotorcraft emerged over the ridgeline, blades roaring against snowy air. Holloway descended first, rifle cradled, scanning the perimeter. "You brought him," he said, surprised. "He brought truth," I replied. Bishop remained, wordless, jaw tight, eyes unreadable. We boarded quickly, wind screaming across frozen pines as we lifted skyward. At the underground briefing chamber, Director Camden waited, flanked by cyber forensic specialists, psychological profilers, language analysts. The moment Bishop entered, tension thickened like molasses. But she didn't blink. Instead, she extended her hand. "You've changed," she said. "Everything does," he murmured. Over the next 6 hours, Bishop unraveled a web stretching across embassies, supply chains, election machines, and secret detention sites. With every revelation, the room fell deeper into silence, as if listening to the unraveling of reality itself. Camden placed a hand on her temple, absorbing the scope. "We can't release this wholesale," she said finally. "No," I agreed, "but pieces. Drip enough to collapse the dam from inside." Holloway, silent until now, nodded. "Controlled exposure prevents civil unrest." Bishop stepped forward. "I don't want immunity. I want accountability. Start with me." Everyone stared. "You're turning yourself in?" Camden asked. I'm submitting evidence. What you do with me afterward, I'll accept. You're not obligated, I said. I am, he replied. Someone has to break the cycle. He walked away. I followed. That evening, I stood in the corridor outside the holding area, watching Bishop through soundproof glass. He sat unmoving, eyes closed, as if finally resting. Camden approached, holding a printed report. The drive was genuine. We've already seized 7 offshore accounts. There'll be hearings, investigations, probably resignations. I met her gaze. Will it matter? For some. I turned to leave. Clay, she called after me. I paused. You kept believing in people, even after we gave you reasons not to. I didn't believe in people, I replied. I believed in what they buried. Weeks passed. Articles leaked. Whistleblower reports surfaced. Retirements announced without ceremony. Commissions formed under guarded headlines. The truth bled slowly, almost invisibly, but it bled. I returned to my home by the coast, fixed the porch railing, repainted the siding, planted lilacs where the grass had thinned. Normalcy felt foreign, but not unwelcome. One afternoon, while sorting unopened letters, I found a small parcel. No return address. Inside, Bishop's dog tags, wrapped in a photograph of the 2 of us during our first deployment. Sand, grins, sunburnt laughter. I placed them beside Colonel Abrams's letter. 2 days later, I stood at a community center podium, addressing a room full of young recruits. They'd asked me to speak, veteran insight, but I offered something different. Don't. Chase medals, I said. Chase meaning. And if your path becomes obscured by those claiming power, light a match. That night, thunder rolled over the ocean. I stepped onto the porch, watching lightning dance across waves. Rain fell slowly, softly, like absolution. Inside, the cassette played again. My daughter's recital, every missed key more perfect than precision. I closed my eyes. I hadn't salvaged every secret, but I'd stopped another betrayal. Sometimes, that's enough. Sometimes, that's the war.